Zwabadoo Music Band, you're here. Hi there, Doug James, your founder, CEO of Soundtracks of a Generation. Friends, we're breaking new ground today. We're going to hear some live pedal steel guitar. Very exciting. And we're going to depart from our usual, shameless self-promotion to help some friends out by introducing you to their original music. See, the Music Bin is all about allowing you to meet the Soundtracks of a Generation family. So if I can help any of them make new fans, I'm happy to do that. Not everybody can write good original songs, but I'm blessed to know a few who can. And we'll get to that later. But first, episode 11, it's going to get to the nitty-gritty of the blending of folk, rock, and country. And I love to quote the late great Graham Parsons, who detested the term country rock. He wanted to call it American cosmic music. Hey, it paved the way for the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt, Bruce Springsteen, John Mellencamp, Wilco. But we'll start with the music of Bob Dylan, as performed by the Byrds, who had a knack for turning his folk tunes into melodic electric folk rock. And this song has my favorite line, one of my all-time favorite lines. I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. And I think the shirt kind of says it all, baby. Here's my back pages.
Crimson flames tied through my years, flowing high and mighty trapped. Countless fire and flaming roads, using ideas as my maps. We'll meet on edges soon, said I, proud with heated brow. But I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. Half-racked prejudice leaped forth, ripped down all hate, I screamed. Lies that life is black and white, smoke from my skull I dreamed. Romantic flanks of musketeers, foundation deep somehow. But I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. In a soldier's stance I aimed my head at the mongrel dogs who teach, fearing that I'd become my enemy in the instant that I preach. Sisters fled by confusion boats, mutiny from stern to bow. But I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. faces unburned.
I'm Doug James, your host, and with me today on the Music Bin, Desert Rock members, we've got Glenn DeMichele, who's our pedal steel player, and we've got Jessica Hornsten, who you've all met before. I believe it was episode 3. She's Joni Mitchell and other background vocalists. And then there's Bob Vasilou, who is our Bob Dylan, Roger McGuinn. He's also Tom Petty, and we'll talk about the Petty Kings. His probably the best Tom Petty tribute band in Chicago, maybe the country. I'm kind of biased. People already know that. This is episode 11. If they don't know that I'm biased by now, then there's no hope for them. Anyway, welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Doug. How's it going?
It's delayed.
I think we were just delayed.
We're dealing with delayed reactions tonight.
Yes, it was a delayed reaction. It wasn't the audio.
Okay, so I wanted to start with Glenn because not everybody knows Glenn very well. At least even those of us in the band, because this is his first Soundtracks of a Generation show, joining us. Jess has been in several. Bob's been in a couple. So Glenn, welcome, by the way. And so tell us a little bit about you. You know, where'd you grow up and all of that good stuff?
Well, okay. We only have a half hour. We
Yeah.
do.
Did you?
Okay.
Oh, were you? Don't tell me you were an Army brat.
No,
Did you move
no,
around?
No.
Okay.
No, I grew up. I lived in Highland Park till I was in 4th grade. Then Bannockburn. Okay.
Oh.
Then I went to college down in Champaign and lived in Iowa, then in Florida, and then came back to the Chicago area, and I've been here ever since.
See, that's the connection between you and me. I grew up in Iowa, so that's okay.
Oh, I love Cedar Rapids. I learned how to play jazz in Cedar Rapids. My main instrument is bass.
I was going to ask you what your main instrument. What was the first instrument you learned to play?
Well, 4th grade was trumpet, but 8th grade that wasn't cool enough, so I started playing bass in high school.
Okay.
And So I'm a good jazz bass player, and I play downtown a lot, or I used to before this pandemic thing.
Right.
And then I'm new on steel. I've only been playing that about 26 years. So
26 years?
yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, when I first started, a friend of mine said, I heard you're starting to play steel. And he looked, and I said, yeah. And he looked at me and said, how old are you? And I said, I'm 38. He said, you'll never make it. So that was pretty funny. But it's been a lot of fun, and I love the way it sounds.
Yeah, I do too. I've been doing my whole
lifetime. Play the sitar.
Sitar.
Ah.
7 lifetimes. You have to be reincarnated 7 times and keep with it.
That's right.
It's a lot of patience.
Boy.
Do you have a sitar, Bob?
A sitar? No, I don't.
Because I was going to say, if you do, get in your car and back over it. We're just kidding. So, Bob, are you a Chicago guy? Thank you. Are you a Chicago guy?
Who, me?
Yeah. Well, you're Bob,
Yeah.
aren't you?
I grew up in the Chicago area.
Okay.
And lived here until I went through college, and then traveled around after that. We're doing various work, IT work, or traveling around the country, and lived in Los Angeles and Seattle and San Francisco and Washington, D.C., and kind of bounced around like that for a while. And then I just recently came back to Chicago about 4 years.
Were you in Seattle for the grunge?
No, I just went there. I just kind of wanted to move somewhere. That was when I moved from San Francisco. I just moved to Seattle. I just picked it. Go to knew some people there and just moved there. And I was sort of working in San Francisco still, but I was commuting back and forth.
Okay. IT guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jess, we know all about you. You're from Wisconsin.
Yeah. End of story.
End of story. Yeah. Well, thank God we got you down here. So, Glenn, let me get back to you. Do you remember, are you old enough to remember, or do you have any older brothers and sisters, or maybe your mom and dad? Did they ever tell you about the WLS barn dance?
I do remember slightly that.
Yeah.
We didn't watch it every week, and neither did they.
Yeah.
And after I started playing country on this, my whole family said, why? What's wrong with you? You know, because I was playing jazz up until then. So
Yeah.
it was sort of, I didn't get disowned, but you get the idea. So
you got bit by the country bug. How did that happen?
Well, just the steel guitar, really. In a way, I kind of don't like country if it doesn't have steel guitar in it. But steel guitar is so appealing to me that, you know, and I like older country more than the newer stuff.
Yeah.
But
Now, when you say older, when you say older, you're talking about maybe going back to like Buddy Emmons or Hal Rugg, some of those guys like Loretta Lynn and Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. His guy was Tom Brenly, I think, his pedal steel player.
Yeah.
What about Sneaky Pete and Rusty Young, those guys?
Well, when country was sort of mainstream in the 60s, that was all happening. And then Bakersfield started to happen. And then the hippies got into it. And then that's where Sneaky Pete and Rusty Young and all that happened. So that's where desert rock's roots actually are, you know? So,
Us dirty hippies.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And so, you know, and I liked Poco, and, you know, I liked my familiarity with a lot of it. I mean, I got some Linda Ronstadt and some old Bonnie Raitt records and all that. And I didn't throw myself wholeheartedly into that. At the time it was coming out, I was sort of listening more to like rock stuff, maybe like Rick Derringer or Johnny Winter or that kind of thing.
Ooh,
and then I started to listen to more jazz. Yeah. And then when I got into steel, I finally got back into old country to hear sort of how it was really done.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
The path and how we come back around to stuff. Now, let me ask Mr. Jangly Guitar something here. Bob, what is a jangly guitar? Is that like from Roger McGuinn? What is that?
Yeah, jangly guitar is just an electric guitar that's played on a very clean, sort of bright kind of sound, not really distorted. And it's especially a 12-string electric guitar, and it's especially a Rickenbacker 12-string guitar. Okay. And just sort of strumming or arpeggiated. But Roger McGuinn was one of the first guys to have that sound. George Harrison started before him, I think, a song called "And Your Bird Can Sing." He was playing a Rickenbacker 12-string.
He spent about a year, or not a year. He spent about a month with Bob Dylan and the band up in Woodstock, New York. George did. I heard a story about this. And he wrote, is it Blue? The song he wrote about his wife at the time. And it had quite an influence on him, but he was, I guess he was doing the jangly guitar before that, but I've always found that to be interesting. Roger McGuinn, of course, the Byrds stuff, you go back to the beginning, Mr. Tambourine Man, and then Turn, 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 and all of that. And we start Desert Rock Show with those songs. And the Desert Rock Show, for those of you who don't know, it kind of begins at Doug Weston's Troubadour. And we have Linda Ronstadt come on when she was with the Stone Ponies, and she plays. And Glenn will be sitting in on that one. I'm sure we'll probably be doing something like Silver Threads and Golden Needles, something like that. Love is a Rose. We'll have to get a banjo. Boy, talk about an instrument that you want to back over. Oh boy. And all you banjo lovers, I'm kidding, okay? So we go into the Byrds, we go into some Buffalo Springfield, the Byrds, the Stone Ponies. And then there was that period in 67, Bob Dylan had written John Wesley Harding. And everybody was like going, ooh, country. And then in 68 was when the Byrds, I mean, that was really, I think that was the pivotal album for country, Sweetheart of the Rodeo. And that's when, and it was Graham Parsons' effect on it. And that's when you really heard that part, that genre become mixed in there, and Laurel Canyon with the rock and the folk. So now, if I were to ask you, Jess, your favorite of the three, country, rock, or folk, what would you think? Joni Mitchell, where does she fit in there?
I suppose folk for Joni Mitchell. Although I have to say, coming from Wisconsin and just being with my parents were really into that old country that you were talking about. And so as by extension, I was into it too. We used to watch, do you guys remember that Barbara Mandrell and the Mandrell sisters had a variety? Of course. Show?
Oh yeah.
I dreamed that that I'd be one of those girls up there playing the steel guitar for a little while and then switching over to the drums, and then because they were also talented.
They were the Dixie Chicks before the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
They were very hip, very hip. Yeah, that was a popular TV show. Yeah, great. So you've kind of got a little country thing. I thought for sure you'd bring up Joni is also very jazz, and
that is true.
And Glenn, you probably know that she was way into jazz. If you listen to it, was playing with Jocko and who else?
Yeah.
Who was the great guitarist? I can't think of it. God.
Well, I listened to the Shadows and Light live performance. That's my favorite, almost my favorite record, with Jocko and Pat Metheny and live.
Pat Metheny.
And Don Elias playing on it, and Michael Brecker, and it's just amazing. And I don't know how she did it. And Sneaky Pete played on California on the Blue album. And I love that record too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So,
Glenn, what were you saying to me the other day about you weren't so sure about Rusty Young? His playing bothered you. What was it?
I don't know much about him other than he can play standing up.
That was it.
He'll stand up and do the big show thing and all that. But he's got, he's a good player, and the Poco thing and all that. And
if you watched,
the Steel Guitar Hall of Fame.
If you watched any of those old country shows, Hee Haw, or if you saw Johnny Cash or Glenn Campbell and some of these old country shows growing up on TV, you'll notice the pedal steel guys always sat down. They always sit down.
It's a desk job.
Give us you got your pedal right there in front of you, right?
I do.
Give us a little taste of, hey, give me an E9 tuning. What is an E9 tuning, by the way?
Each neck has 10 strings.
Yeah.
And there's a E9th neck and a C6th neck, which is C6 is more like Western swing or jazz sound.
Wow, okay.
and E ninth is more country. So it's kind of like country and Western. Haha, okay? So the E ninth tuning, you know, that sounds like, you know,
Sweet.
that kind of thing. And the tuning, it's tuned to an E ninth, so you have E is here, so you got your 5, flat 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 3. Then it goes to the 7 and the 6. So those are called the chromatic strings because those strings are lower than the others, so that you can do stuff like, you know, go down a scale with, you know, that kind of thing. So it's okay. So it sounds awful, just like a guitar if you play it all open, right? But a lot of it is figuring out which strings to pick to make a chord, you know? So you can get a lot of chords with just the pedals. And what the pedals do is they bend a string up, or you can or go down or go up, you know? And you can do like, this is my favorite thing, you can go, okay? Or you can move this down while you move the bar up to make the other one go up.
Sweet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
now, is that, excuse me, but is that a Williams? What do you play?
It's a Franklin.
It's a Franklin. Okay.
Franklin guitar, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have 2 steels just in case something goes wrong. But yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful instrument. And I'm really excited. This is the first time that we've done anything remotely close to country. So Desert Rock is, I really can't wait to get this show out on the road, for God's sake.
It'll be fun.
I wanted to be able, now can you wouldn't happen to know like Heart of Gold or Old Man by Neil Young, would you?
Not note for note for the whole thing, but there's the, let's see. There's that thing that he does, you know?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Go ahead, Bob. Bob is our Neil Young singer.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You know, right? Then, right?
Sweet.
So.
All right. Well, that's one to work on, Bob.
Okay.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. There's no question about it. And also teach your children. That's another one that I always love with pedal steel. The Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
On that, right?
Oh yeah, plenty of pedal on that one.
Yeah.
So now I wanted to bring up that Bob and Jess are not only in our Desert Rock show, they are also in the Petty Kings, which is the Tom Petty tribute show. But they've got an original, and I bring this up because I'm so in love with this band. They've got a band called Rolling Numbers. It's all original music. And I want to give people, because they kind of, it kind of reminds me of the Jayhawks a little bit. And folks, you can text us and when you hear this and let us know what you think. If it's okay with you, Bob, if it be okay with your publisher, you want to ask your publisher if it's all right? Yeah. I'd like to give everybody a little taste of your the Rolling Numbers, a tune. And I hope it's Muse, which is my favorite.
Sure.
Huh?
Spin.
It's not finished?
Oh, I said give it a spin.
Oh, give it a spin. All right. Oh, as a DJ, I should have picked that up. All right. So this is Muse by Rolling Numbers.
Solace in my solitude that comes to me in my sleep. When I'm dreaming, I'm convening with my lovely muse as I snooze. that radiates from her face.
So there you have it. There's Rolling Numbers and Muse. And who did you write that about?
I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Well, okay.
I don't really think of things specifically when writing songs. It's just, you know, words just sort of flow through. And so it's not necessarily explicitly about anything in particular.
I feel kind of special because when I was in California last year, Bob started working on this on these songs, and he probably had some of the songs already in his head. They were just coming together though, and you were putting that an EP together. You're going to have an album here before too long, or an EP, right?
Yeah, we have about 7 songs finished up on rollingnumbers.bandcamp.com, and the rest of them are almost done.
I'm telling you, if you like the sound of the Jayhawks, these guys are better. Again,
Doug.
I'm biased, okay? So, but just what a great sound, great harmonies. And Jess, yeah, your harmonies. Bob sent me something the other day, and it was just vocal tracks of nothing else, just vocal tracks. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and my wife is setting the table. She goes, "Well, what goes here?" I said, "Shh, nothing. There's guitar and stuff going on, but Dave Steffen's playing guitar. Bob plays guitar. Who's your drummer?"
It's Dave Wisniewski.
Dave Wisniewski. And bass player is
Tom Hamning.
Okay.
It's basically
so they're playing, you know, but I just had the vocal track, and I'm just listening to the harmonies coming in. Gave me chills.
Oh,
it was so good. And
some of those we recorded before you had come up with the lyrics or melody.
That's right.
He did just the accompaniment first, and then said at the end, just kind of improvise, and just I'll take some of it out. But then
that's spectacular. That's interesting that you would write like this. Huh?
No chorus, so we were thinking of like a background for the chorus.
Yeah.
But the more we listen to it, it's like, that sounds really cool the way it is, just Jessica going, yeah, yeah. So we just left that as the chorus of that song.
Outstanding. Wow. Well, you guys, we've got a couple of bird songs we want to try and get to also. So we're going to do that. But I thank you all for joining us here today. And I swear to you, I've been talking to several of the venue owners in the area. Today, between today and yesterday, I spoke to about 5 different guys, and they're feeling pretty confident that within the next, by summertime, certainly outdoor festivals, where as musicians, we won't be too close together, you know, and you obviously you don't want to get too close to the crowd still, but this pandemic has really wreaked havoc for our business. And actually, for a lot of us, it's not even business. It's just a joy, and it's just fun to do. It's a wonderful hobby. But you guys are such high level players. I have to, you know, it's hard to call it just a hobby, it seems to me. Anyway, Jessica Hornsten, Bob Vasilou, Glenn DeMichele, thank you so much for joining us on the Music Ben.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
The reasons why, well, I can't say. I have to let you go, babe, and run away. After what you did, I can't stay on, and you'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. Baby, for a long time, you had me believe that your love was all mine. That's the way it would be. But I didn't know that you were putting me on. And I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. Oh, when you're gone. Now I got to say, that's not like before. And I'm not gonna play your games anymore. After what you did, I can't stay on. And you'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone. Oh, when you're gone. Oh, when you're gone. Oh, when you're gone.
To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather
Hey, that old-timey country music is nestled deep within your rock and roll, Daddy-O. No denying it. That was a lot of fun. We'll do that again. Hey, next week it's going to be the Music Coalition, and that is a group of guys. This is the second time we've done this, that are like managers, artistic directors, people in charge of like the venues that we play at, the festivals that we go to. We've got Richard Coranda from the Rouse Center. We got B.J. Jones from the Northlight Theater. And we've got Scott Bass of Bass Schuler Entertainment. And yeah, they'll explain to us, talk to us about their views, how they see the post-pandemic entertainment rush, and what they're going to do about it. Okay? So in the meantime, check us out on Insta, Facebook, the website, and of course, remember what I always say, music heals the soul. It's so true. Okay, credits Captain Kirk, and while you're at it, beam me up to the Starship Music Band. Ba, 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 da. Ba, ba, da, 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 da.